Mandy, thank you so much for joining us. How did this project come to your attention?
I was in the process very early on with all the other departments. So I worked with Mary Zofries with wardrobe and saw all of her mood boards and her inspiration things, and we're in those conversations with she and Damien. We would go on location scouts, and I get to sit in the van, go here and think about, oh, how can we make that scene cool? I mean, when do you get to do that as a choreographer? Usually you're brought in like in the 11th hour, and everyone like kind of gives you this thing and says, okay, create. You know, so to be in that ground floor of all the creative process made my job easier and also made me feel invested, and I felt like I was a part of the team, you know.
Makes you care more,
Yes.
honestly. It's like the
Yeah.
more inclusive you are, the more people are invested in the project.
Yeah, and I didn't have to read Damien's mind. If I could have like a firewire that went from my head to the director's head, my job would be amazing. But I spend half my job trying to figure out, like, what are you seeing in your head? How can a non-dancer communicate to a dancer what they're wanting, you know? Because choreography is a weird thing. People are like, well, I want them to dance. What kind of dancing are you wanting? So, you know, lots and lots of conversations with Damien about that.
You were rehearsing nonstop with Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Tell us about what that experience was like.
You know, I met Ryan first. I was like, oh, you've done some dance stuff. I was like, yeah, on YouTube I saw some stuff. He's like, oh, no, don't get it twisted. Like this, I was basically the only boy in that routine, and my dance teacher just let me do whatever I want. So I never learned how to dance. I just danced around.
Right.
And then the girls did everything around me. So, you know, his thing was like, okay, when can we start? Like tomorrow, can we start training?
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with Emma. I met her about like a week later. I kind of had to dissect like where I needed them to end at the end of the film and kind of work backwards. And I realized that the movement vocabulary was going to live in tap, in ballroom and waltzing specifically, and in jazz. My biggest thing is I just wanted them to have a really good time and learn to love dance. Because I thought that, you know, I was picturing them having to do these like 6-minute takes with no edits outside at magic hour, and the amount of pressure that was going to be on them. And I thought the only way we're going to get through that is if there's a genuine joy about what they're doing, and that there's a confidence about what it takes to do that. And in those moments, if I'm able to draw on, like, remember, we're having a good time and we like this, then all that pressure kind of goes away, and you just kind of are like, oh yeah, this is actually really fun. It's not, oh God, I have to hit my mark and I have to do this thing and blah, blah. So that was the initial thing. And then once I put them together, I mean, it was so much fun.
Magical.
Yeah, we were in that compound dancing with the wardrobe next door and set, you know, the production design right across, and Damien and Linus, like everyone was right there. It was really cool.
You really did have a whole camp going on.
Seriously, it was like LaLa Land, like camp compound. It was amazing.
This film opens up in the grandest way possible, and I don't know if you haven't lived in Los Angeles, shutting down a freeway ramp in Los Angeles is a really big deal. I don't care if it's a weekend or not.
Right. When we did a location scout, which was really cool, because one night we had like a police escort. We got to shut down the freeway, and the police escort went out there, and we got to park our cars, and we all got out there, and that was the first time we were really on the space and could go like, okay, we're gonna have, you know, car 1 start here, car 60 is gonna be here. You know, we could kind of figure all that out. And they loaded all the cars up there, and all the dancers were there, I think, at 4 a.m. And we, you know, set up the first couple shots, and just, it was crazy.
I had heard Emma, too, speaking that the rooftops had to be reinforced.
Oh, yeah, because as soon as you stand on the roof of a car, you ruin the car.
So, that's it, cave.
Yeah, we had to reinforce it. I think it was 15 cars or 20 cars. And then there were some people that stood on hoods that were reinforced, but they didn't have the roof that was reinforced. And like, what was that final shot? How do you put 30 people across all of these cars and make it look massive and epic without having to reinforce 100 roofs of cars, you know? So
the whole part in the waltz. Now I know this, which is amazing. All of a sudden you start flying.
that was a hard scene, because that was the one that I think was the most question marked for everybody, because it was kind of like, okay, they fly and they waltz in the stars. Okay, well, how do you do that? You know, like, okay, let's try.
And they're wearing harnesses.
Yes. Well, and originally that was going to be underwater, because they wanted this feeling of weightlessness, right? Mm-hmm. And then it was like, okay, no, we are not going to do water, which was probably good that we did not do the water thing. But yeah, that one ended up being harnesses. So they were, you know, in their harnesses as they fly up. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of different story beats that we had to hit there. And then also just like create something that really hasn't ever been done. I love the shot at the very end when they float down into their seats, because the camera does this like really beautiful like kind of crossover, and I mean, they were so clunky in their harnesses, but when you watch all of that being taken out and they just like float down in their seats, and Like, wait, how did they make that happen? Even I, who knows how it happened, I still feel like it's weird. How do they make that happen? And they just look, Ryan has his hand in his pocket and just sits down. It's so
cool.
swaggy.
Yeah.
I know. So good.
That's great. Sort of the roommate scene moves into the party scene.
Yeah.
The colors is so specific from moving through the rooms, moving into the party. Mm-hmm. I love what was executed in that.
Thank you. It was, I will say that number in particular, the first part, was completely crafted for camera. And Damien and I went to that location, and once it was locked, he and I did the entire number with his iPhone. So I knew before we ever did any dance steps what the camera was seeing, which is, again, like, I don't know, it's so brilliant to be able to have that as a choreographer.
It's planned.
Yes, because then I'm not guessing what's going to maybe make it on in the shot or in the frame. So we crafted the entire thing together, like did all the choreography of the camera, and then I was able to go back to the girls in rehearsal, and we would set up in our little compound. I'd have like chairs, and I'd be like, "This is a hallway," and I'd get like one of those changing screens. "This is a wall. Don't worry, you're going to be standing against a wall." And then from there, I worked with we kind of went at it like a scene. I wanted it to feel a little bit more gesture based, obviously, because. It's not the time to just break into like toe touches in that number. It's like it needed to feel like four girls getting ready in a stylized way for a party and having a good time. So I brought in a skeleton crew for that, and then I ended up working with the girls and working with Emma, obviously. So that was based basically all on the location and those walls and the colors and who was doing what at what time. And the girl was against the red wall with the red dress, but then she's leaning against the thing with the blue, and then you see the green. I mean, it's like, it was very specific about what you're seeing.
It reminds me so much of some of the stylized musicals.
That's the thing, and it was very deliberate. Like, I will say there was not anything really left to chance with that. That wasn't just like, oh, that looks cool in the frame. We knew what we were wanting to accomplish in the frame, and so for people to, I think, watch it and appreciate that is huge for this time and where we are in filmmaking right now.
So when the girls move from the house into the party scene, which to me, again, is like love letter to Bob Fosse in The Frug. Visually, there was so much going on in such a wonderful way.
That was the reference, was Rich Man's Frug. He wanted a little less dancing, but he wanted that air and that feel about the cliches of a Hollywood party, the people that are like pretending to talk to each other, but they're actually looking somewhere else. Or there's always the guy that with the creepy guy, Scott Hislop, who's my best friend, by the way, but that was the title of his character. He's the guy who kind of slinks in next to Emma and like gets a little uncomfortable, and then she's like, oh God, I gotta go, right? Yeah, so I think we've all been at parties where we've experienced those kinds of things. And initially that shot was actually a one shot from the girls walking in. Because of time, and like Damien and I talked a lot about it too, but because of time, he was like, I have to chop that up into a montage a little bit because I got to get to Emma in the bathroom sooner. So that was originally this really beautiful one shot that went through all the entire house, which we still captured with the montage. I didn't mind that. But the craziest shot is the one where she comes out of the bathroom. Yeah, and then some were like frozen, and then some people were moving, which was funny enough on the day. That was an on the day thing. Because originally I was going to have everybody moving, and then I was just like, he was like, I don't know, maybe some people are frozen. I was like, yes, I think some people are frozen. Because in the next thing, when it flips 180, everyone's frozen, and she's walking, and the dancers are like spinning away, and then everybody splits, and that camera sees the dude flip into the water. And I mean, that kid did that 33 times.
Are you kidding me?
At 4 o'clock in the morning.
33?
We shot all night, 33 times, and the complexity of that shot is sometimes I just wish people could see how it's shot, because that would, I think, you'd appreciate it even more, It was this crazy camera that was on this track, and it would go like this and like look up, and then it'd come in and spin. I was like, what is this camera? Who created this camera? It was nuts. But that was one of those shots when we got it, the whole crew erupted. Everyone was just like, yes! It was like, there was a lot of that on, many days.
Yep.
And then of course they do the Waltz and the Stars, which I was so proud of them with that, because that was one of the last things they shot dance-wise. And it was hard. They did like 40 some takes on it. There's a lot of really talented people out there that are dancing, and I think if we can harness that and we can put that in the correct way and expose people to things, expose audiences to all different kinds of great dance, hopefully it'll just continue to grow.
Well, I am so thrilled for all of your success.
Thank you.
And I mean, LaLa Land is such an incredible body of work, so you should be so proud.
Thank you so much.